Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello students, today we are going to do chapter number 14 of Geography, Natural and Man-Made Disasters. I hope you all know what are disasters, but let's see what exactly disasters are. You all must have heard about it, right? But here let's know what is disaster. A disaster is a sudden calamitous event that seriously disrupts the functioning of a community or society or causes human, material and economic or environmental losses that exceed the community's or society's ability to cope using its own resources, though often caused by nature. Disasters can have human origins. If we talk about all this, let's see. One cannot forget, like when the earthquake in Bhuj, or we could say Gujarat, and tsunami in Tamil Nadu, and floods in Uttarakhand. So these all are natural hazards or disasters. A natural hazard is a naturally occurring physical phenomenon which has a negative effect on humans, and the negative effect is what we call a natural disaster. That is what we have done in this slide. Now let's see what is the difference between natural hazards or natural disaster. Now see, a hazard, it is a dangerous physical condition or event. Or if we talk about natural disaster, a disaster disrupts the normal function of the society caused by natural disaster. Then earthquakes, floods, volcanic eruptions, landslides, droughts, etc. are called natural hazards before they cause loss of life and damage to the property. And if we talk about natural disaster, it causes damage to property and loss of life, but it disrupts the opportunities of employment also. That means the financial condition of the people also get affected. Now, third point is small number of people are affected, and here a large number of people are affected. Then in hazards, it may cause injury, loss of life or damage of property, but here it causes widespread loss to life and property. Then earthquakes, floods, volcanoes, tsunami, landslides, droughts are natural hazards. It affects the society to such an extent that external becomes necessary to compensate the losses. Now, what are the type of disasters? Now see, disasters are natural disaster and man-made disaster. Let's see what does disaster stand for. Detection, incident command, safety and security. A is for access hazards, S to support, T for triage and treatment, E for evacuation, and R for recovery. Now there are various types of natural disasters, as we have read in the difference also. Natural disasters are of the following types: earthquake, volcanic eruptions, cyclones, floods, droughts, tornadoes, tsunami. Now what are the causes? Why all these natural disasters occur? The natural disaster is the consequence when a natural hazard affects humans in an adverse manner, and the result loss due to a natural disaster also depends on the capacity of the population or authorities to support or resist the disaster, as well as emergency preparedness. The term natural has consequently been disrupted because the events simply are not hazardous or disasters without human involvement. And if I talk about the examples, tsunamis, earthquakes, avalanches, volcanoes, landslides, floods, droughts, forest fires, etc. And we are going to study about all these in the next slides. Now, what exactly an earthquake is? The definition of an earthquake is the vibration that causes the breaking of rocks. That means when the rocks break, they produce a vibration, and that vibration is called earthquake. These vibrations move in all directions through the earth, and they begin at a point along a fault.
Updates have been applied.
How do faults form? The Earth's crust is constantly experiencing pressure from forces within and around it, and this pressure builds up over time and eventually causes the crust to break. And this becomes a fault. Let's experience it. Now, how many kinds of faults are there? Normal fault. When two plates are moving apart and one side of the fracture moves below the other, caused by tension forecast. And reverse fault, when two plates collide and one side of the fracture moves on top of another, that is caused by compression forces. And strike slip or lateral, when two plates slide past each other, caused by shear forces. Now, what kind of damage do they do? We all know what kind of damages are being done by earthquake. Well, let's revise that also. Earthquakes can also cause landslides, sudden eruptions, as in the case of a hot lava flow from a volcano, or joint waves called tsunamis. You all must have read, I'm sure you must have gone through these tsunamis and the landslides in the news channels. And sometimes new landmass are also formed. Such earthquakes are attributed with the creation of the greatest undersea mountain range and the longest land mountain range. Major historic earthquakes you could see in China, San Francisco, Chile, Alaska, China, Mexico City, California, Kobe, Gujarat, and then Sumatra, Indonesia, Pakistan, Haiti, and Japan. These are the major historic earthquakes Earth has faced. And effects of an earthquake. Now, what happens when earthquake comes on the earth? It's a lot of destruction. So let's see what kind of changes are brought by these earthquakes. An earthquake presents a heartbreaking sight. That means it is very, very full of loss, and it brings about destruction and changes in many ways. First of all, the physical damage, and it is in the form of loss of buildings, service structures, fires, and landslides. Then casualties, that means loss of life, very high near the epicenter and the places with dense population. Epicenter means from where the earthquake starts. Then public health suffers due to fractures, injuries, breakdown of sanitary conditions, and outbreak of epidemics. Next is your water supply. It also gets disrupted as the distribution of network and storage tanks get out of order. It can hamper fire services operations too. So that means it's a loss of each and every field just because of the earthquake. And transport service is also affected. It is adversely affected due to blocking of roads, falling of bridges, railway tracks, airports, runs, and other related structures. And electricity and communication links are also being disrupted. Transformers may collapse and transmission towers may get broadly affected. When the earthquakes originate near the coast, huge tidal waves cause submerged of land. As a result, some islands are permanently submerged and new islands are formed. Now, if we want to save our lives, we need to take few precautions as well. Now, if you are outdoors during an earthquake, what we could do? Always move to a clear area. That means it should not be crowded one. Away from trees, signs, buildings, electrical wires and poles. I know this is next to impossible in urban areas, but at least we could try to go away from all these areas, and better to keep yourself at a clear area and move away from buildings, street lights, and utility wires. Once in the open, stay there until the shaking stops. But this is possible when you are outdoor, not indoor. Let's see how we could save ourselves if we are indoor. That means inside the building or home. Drop down and take over under a desk or table. If you don't have any desk or table, you might get down under your dining table as well, in case it is available, and stay inside until the shaking stops and it is safe to exit. Stay away from the bookcases and other furniture that can fall on you. That means if you have we could say if there is a danger of getting the bookcases or the other furnitures to fall down, so please stay away from those places. And stay away from windows and light fixtures also, they might also fall. And if you are in bed, hold on and stay there only. Now, next is your volcanic eruptions. Now, what are volcanic eruptions? Volcanoes can cause widespread destruction and consequent disaster in several ways. The effects include the volcanic eruptions, as you can see in the pictures as well, how the volcano is coming out. And second, lava may be produced during the eruption of a volcano. As it leaves the volcano, the lava destroys many buildings and settle thickly in nearby locations. Insufficient quantity ash may cause roads to collapse under its weight, but even small quantities will harm humans if inhaled. And a specific type of volcano is the supervolcano. The main danger of a supervolcano is the immense cloud of ash, which has a disastrous global effect on climate and temperature for many years. So, volcanic eruptions are literally very dangerous for earth, for us, and it is very dangerous to inhale it. Now you could see from the picture how the volcanic bomb, this is volcanic ash cloud. Here you could see this is the crater cone of the volcano. Here the volcano is being made, this is cone, and ash layers, solidified lava. Here this is lava, and how it is lava is flowing. This is the main chimney, secondary cone in active volcano, and fumoil, and this is the magma chamber. Now, classification of volcanoes. Volcanoes are mainly categorized into three types. First one is your extinct volcano. The volcanoes which will not erupt in future are called extinct volcanoes. For example, Chudwell volcano in Netherlands, or volcano that has not erupted for many years, that is dormant volcano. And there is possibility that it will erupt in future is a type of dormant volcano. For example, Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. Then active volcano. A volcano that has erupted recently or is erupting is called active volcano. For example, Barren Island in Andaman Islands. Now, these are the classification of volcanoes. Now, what causes these volcanic eruptions? Volcanic erupt due to different reasons. The hot matter is magma inside the earth. It is pushed by the pressure of the crust. Magma comes out through a hole or a crack at a weak point and accumulates around it with the progression of time. It cools down and becomes solid. The layer of lava and other materials which accumulate over a long period of time from funnel mountains. You have seen the picture and it is pretty clear in that how the volcanic eruptions are caused. Now, we can devise ways and means to minimize their impact, like how the volcanoes can be minimized. As much as possible, stay away from active volcanoes. If you live near an active volcano, keep goggles and mask in the emergency kit along with a flashlight and a working battery operated radio, which is very important. And if a volcano erupts in your area, evacuate only as recommended by authorities. Stay clear of lava, mud flows, and flying rocks and debris. There are few do's and don'ts also during these volcanic eruptions. Use a dust mask or hold a damp cloth over your house to help the breathing. Stay away from areas downward from the volcano to avoid volcanic ash. And stay indoors until the ash has settled unless there is a danger of the roof collapsing. And avoid driving in heavy ash fall unless absolutely required.